My maid impersonated me and developed a secret affection with Lee Siyuan, who was staying at the Prime Minister's residence, resulting in a hidden pregnancy. Lee Siyuan became the top scholar and later came to the Prime Minister's residence to propose, and my father agreed. The maid, in despair, jumped into a well, resulting in 2 deaths. On the wedding night, Lee Siyuan discovered that I was not his beloved and quietly investigated, thinking that I was jealous of the maid and forced her to death. For the next 10 years, he used the influence of the Prime Minister's residence to rise to power, appearing gentle and considerate to me. But when the Prime Minister's residence got involved in a treason case, he added insult to injury, causing my father to die unjustly and my family to be exiled. I was also drowned in a cold pool in the bitter winter under his torment. When I opened my eyes again, I returned to the day he came to the Prime Minister's residence to propose. Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. The bone-chilling cold and the suffocating feeling of dying seemed to still linger in my body. With a pale face, my teeth lightly trembled as I silently stared at the fresh face in the mirror, plotting how to kill Lee Siyuan. I knew he would come to propose today, with great fanfare, making it known to everyone. Everyone said the newly crowned top scholar fell in love at first sight with the Prime Minister's daughter, a match made in heaven. In reality, the one he fell for at first sight was my maid Rufeng. Lee Siyuan had a distant familial relationship with my Lin family. So during his time in the capital for exams, he stayed at my Prime Minister's residence. My father cherished talent and treated him with courtesy. My elder brother also mentioned him to me, saying he had the talent of a top scholar. Rufeng had thoughts and impersonated me, repeatedly approaching him. The two quickly fell in love, even resulting in a child. I had no feelings for Lee Siyuan, but I knew it was a good marriage. A young top scholar, talented in his own right, coupled with my father's support, would surely have a promising future. Moreover, his family was poor, with only an elderly mother at home. So in every respect, he needed to rely on the Prime Minister's residence, and no one would dare to give me a hard time. So when my parents asked me, I agreed to the marriage. However, this time, when Nanny Han from my mother's side came to find me, she said, Mr. Lee wants to marry the maid Rufeng beside the young lady. And the madam wants the young lady to make your own decision. I immediately knew Lee Siyuan had returned too. Rufeng had taken 3 days off, actually because her pregnancy was unstable. She dared not exert herself, lying in bed all day, missing the chance to explain to Lee Siyuan. I took Nanny Han to the side room to find her. At this time, she didn't show signs of pregnancy, just looked unwell. I said, the newly crowned top scholar wants to marry you. She showed a look of surprise and then shyly at a loss, not daring to meet my eyes. She was very afraid I would ask about her and Lee Siyuan. But I asked nothing. I had another maid, Yunk, dress her up and took her to the front hall to meet the guest. Lee Siyuan saw her and was momentarily stunned, then his eyes turned red. He hadn't seen her for 10 years. When he looked at me again, his gaze turned to hatred. My hatred was no less than his. I thought about hiding it, but upon seeing him, the oppression from the previous life surged forth. My father was beheaded, my mother died of illness during exile. My brother lost a leg, my sister-in-law committed suicide to preserve her honor. And 2 nephews, 1 dead and 1 injured. The family was ruined, all thanks to Lee Siyuan. The intense hatred surged uncontrollably, impossible to conceal. Lee Siyuan was momentarily stunned. I knew he saw through it. But I didn't care. I said, Rufeng is a servant of my Lin family. I don't know when the top scholar took a fancy to her. But a gentleman helps others fulfill their wishes, since the top scholar has the heart to marry. I, as the master, have no reason to disagree. I returned Rufeng's contract to her. You are free. Rufeng was moved to tears. Lee Siyuan's expression was complex. He clasped his hands in salute to me, intending to leave. I then said, wait a moment. Lee Siyuan looked back at me warily. At the door, a servant led the doctor inside. I pointed at Rufeng. Please, Dr. Wang, check her pulse. Rufeng panicked and hid behind Lee Siyuan. Lee Siyuan glanced at me with both disappointment and disgust. No need. My mother saw what was happening and ordered 2 strong maids to hold Rufeng down. Afraid of harming her unborn child, Rufeng dared not struggle and had to let Dr. Wang check her pulse, her pretty face turning pale. The fetal position is a bit unstable, but it's not serious. I'll prescribe some medicine to stabilize the pregnancy, Dr. Wang said. My mother was furious. Shameless thing. Rufeng was both ashamed and scared, her face flushed red, instinctively wanting to kneel and admit her mistake. Li Siyuan held her back. You are no longer a servant of the Prime Minister's residence, you don't need to kneel to them. He added, Madam Lin, Rufeng is my fiancé, please watch your words. He still thought of himself as the confidant of the Crown Prince. And a close minister to the new emperor, believing everyone should heed his words. My mother was so angry she smashed a cup. My father gave him a cold look. What a great show of authority from the top scholar. Daring to lecture the madam of the Prime Minister's residence. Li Siyuan's face stiffened. He came to his senses. Besides the unstable fetal position, is there any other issue? I asked. Dr. Wang shook his head, no. I looked at Li Siyuan. Make sure you understand, your fiancé will leave my residence healthy and unharmed. If anything happens to her later, don't blame it on us. Also, according to the law, a maid from my residence who engages in illicit relations can be beaten to death directly. In other words, I could openly and justifiably kill Rufeng without needing to secretly force her to death. Li Siyuan understood, his expression uncertain. My father told Li Siyuan to leave. As he was leaving, he ran into Zhao Lizhe, who had rushed over. I heard Zhao Lizhe shout urgently, Uncle Lin, don't be quick to betroth Susu to Li Siyuan, consider me instead. Li Siyuan's face darkened, and he stopped leaving. Zhao Lizhe was the young master of Marquis Zhao's household, the nephew of the empress. And we had known each other since childhood. He had 2 older brothers and an older sister, and was spoiled by the whole family. Though he was unruly and arrogant, he wasn't without skills. In the recent imperial exams, he made a bet and surprisingly ranked 37th in the 2nd class. Noble descendants don't rely on academic success. He just wanted to prove he wasn't useless, and afterward, he went back to his usual ways. In my past life, when he came to propose, I had already agreed to Li Siyuan. But privately, I had compared the two. And the marriage proposal from Marquis Zhao's household was also good. The elders were kind, the siblings harmonious. And Zhao Lizhe was the type of man who would take you out for fun when things were calm. And shield you from storms when trouble arose. Time proved this true. After my family fell into trouble, he changed his idle ways. Secured a government position through his family, and actively helped my family. Later, he found crucial evidence to overturn my father's case, clearing the Lin family's unjust charges. This immense gratitude was hard to repay, even with my life. My eyes turned red. Zhao Lizhe was stunned. Wait, are you scared or happy? I laughed. Silly, Mr. Li is proposing to Rufeng. Why are you anxious? Zhao Lizhe was stunned again, looked at Li Siyuan incredulously, and after a long pause, said, Mr. Li truly has unique taste. Li Siyuan's face turned even uglier. My marriage with Zhao Lizhe has been settled. Li Siyuan took the opportunity to speak with me while I was out. In our past life, you paid the price for harming Rufeng, and now we're even. In this life, as long as you don't harm Rufeng and behave yourself, I won't go against your Lin family. Zhao Lizhe may not be the best match, but he's more than enough for you. Forget about me and live well with him, and put away those malicious thoughts. Don't think about making things difficult for Rufeng anymore. You exposed her pregnancy and embarrassed her, but considering you returned her indenture, I won't hold it against you. However, if you don't change your ways, don't blame me for being ruthless. He stood there, aloof and stern, with a coldness in his eyes like sharp arrows. Just like when he turned against me in our past life. But back then, he wore luxurious silk, jade boots, and a priceless jade pendant on his waist, with rare ivory hairpins casually adorning his hair. Now, he was dressed in a faded sky blue robe, without a single valuable item on him. A person's dignity and aura are half built on their appearance. He seemed like a powerless tyrant, completely unaware that he now had nothing, no capital to negotiate with me. I looked at him calmly, not even. He sighed and called me by my given name. Susu, why are you doing this? I never liked a spoiled and uneducated woman like you. Rufong told me that your reputation for talent was built by her and Yunk. You must have known about Rufong and me in our past life. Yet you deliberately ignored it to marry me and even forced her to death. Enough, let's not talk about it. You've been my wife for 10 years, you should be satisfied. He truly was blind and foolish. In our past life, Rufong not only impersonated me but also secretly copied my poems and paintings. The music I played, the paintings I created, even the chess games I played with my elder brother, she claimed as her own. Lee Si-yuan was deceived by her and didn't know her true identity, so it's understandable he believed she was talented. But even after the truth came out, he still let her manipulate him with a few words. Isn't that foolish? Lee Si-yuan, I stared into his eyes, my face cold as frost. My father, my mother, my sister-in-law, and my nephew, for lives, can't be settled just because you say so. And the child in my womb. For pregnancies in 10 years, for miscarriages, and now I can never have children. All these things, and he says we're even? I scoffed, Lee Si-yuan, between you and me, it's not over until one of us is dead. My father naturally didn't like Lee Si-yuan, but I still added fuel to the fire. This man is scheming and of questionable character. He sought to marry my maid, and instead of doing it discreetly, he made a big show of it, letting everyone know. Everyone thought he was marrying the Prime Minister's daughter, but in the end, it was the maid by the daughter's side. If not for Zhao Lizhe, I would have become the laughingstock of the entire capital. He is the top scholar appointed by the emperor, yet he acts so disgracefully. I suspect he has already sided with your political enemies. Father, you must be careful. My father listened. I said similar things to the crown prince, using a tone of complaint and doubt. And the crown prince immediately developed a bad impression of Lee Si-yuan. The crown prince is Zhao Li's cousin, so we are somewhat familiar. Knowing that Zhao Lizhe and I were engaged, he was very pleased. You should thank Lee Si-yuan. If it weren't for him, Lizhe wouldn't have rushed to propose. He then said, Lizhe, what do you want? I'll give you a gift as a wedding present. Zhao Lizhe was quite blunt, your hot spring estate in the suburbs of the capital. The crown prince was shocked by his audacity. Do you know how much that estate is worth? He said sheepishly, Susu is afraid of the cold. Yes, I am afraid of the cold. Lee Si-yuan also knew I was afraid of the cold, which is why he chose the coldest way to send me to my death. Lee Si-yuan and Rufeng's wedding is set for the end of June. It's rushed, but there's no choice. If it's delayed, the pregnancy will be hard to hide. In my past life, his wedding with me was bustling. But in this life, his wedding with Rufeng is quite desolate. The newly appointed top scholar should be highly sought after. But everyone knows he has offended the Prime Minister. And no one wants to oppose the Prime Minister for a young man with uncertain prospects. Moreover, the top scholar should have been appointed to the Hanlin Academy. But for some reason, both the second and third place scholars received their appointments, while Lee Si-yuan has received no decree from above. Their wedding is held in a small courtyard rented by the Lee family. The place isn't big, but Lee Si-yuan spared no expense, hiring an outside catering group for the feast, costing 5 taels of silver per table, setting up 10 tables, and even borrowing space from neighbors. In the end, not a single official came, but the neighbors filled 2 tables. It's said that Lee Si-yuan's face was dark throughout. He thinks my father is behind this, and he caught me again while I was at the jewelry store buying accessories. After 10 years of marriage, he really knows me well. Do you think I reached high office in my past life because of your father? He said angrily. The crown prince appreciated me because we shared the same political views and interests. Because I have real talent and can help him govern the country. He mocked me, ignorant woman, narrow-minded. Do you think this can stop me? In my past life, he was recommended by my father and gained the crown prince's favor with an essay. My father guided him personally, and he was willing to work hard, quickly making a name for himself. He was right about one thing, he does have real talent and learning. But so what? I called the shopkeeper. Why is there a beggar inside? He was thrown out, his face flushed with anger. Lee Si-yuan has never been able to meet the crown prince. Even though he is exceptionally talented, even though his essay is brilliant. With his status, without someone to introduce him, it's impossible for him to meet the crown prince. But I underestimated him. He connected with the chief eunuch, Deng Changming, not only recognizing him as a godfather, but also promising that Ru Feng's first son would take his surname and be raised under his care. Li Siyuan's 60-year-old mother fell ill from anger, but Ru Feng supported him. His essay finally reached the crown prince's desk, but the crown prince didn't read it and had it discarded. The crown prince despises him. Recognizing a eunuch as a father, selling one's own child, utterly lacking in scholarly integrity. Deng Changming also secured a minor 7th-rank official position for Li Siyuan. Though the position is small, given the chief eunuch's influence, quite a few families are willing to associate with him. General Sui's family invited them to the 70-year-old birthday celebration of the old lady. I saw Ru Feng at the banquet. Her pregnancy was showing, and she wore a loose-fitting green dress of average material, with the golden phoenix hairpin I once gifted her still in her hair. Seeing me look at her, her face flushed slightly. Some people commented, "I really don't know what the new top scholar was thinking, marrying a maid?" Exactly, her looks are average, her demeanor isn't good, always timid. Look at her clothes, even my maids wouldn't wear them. Some even directly called out to her, "Hey, aren't you going to pay respects to your master?" These people looked down on Ru Feng and envied her. Li Siyuan is talented and handsome, admired by many in both past and present lives. No one expected he would end up marrying a maid of low status. Ru Feng lowered her head, her fingers nervously rubbing the hem of her dress. Then, as if she couldn't hold back any longer, she quickly looked at me and walked over. "Miss, I know you resent me," her eyes were red. "But you can't incite these people to insult me like this. After all, I am the wife of the top scholar." I found it amusing. "Why would I resent you? My husband is the top scholar, while your husband-to-be is ranked 37th in the 2nd class. You have a noble status, and I'm just a maid. My husband surpasses yours, so naturally, you feel unbalanced. She has her own logic." I laughed. "You're overthinking it. Although a top scholar is impressive, it's not a rarity. Since the founding of our dynasty, there have been 56 top scholars, and in 3 years there will be another. You don't need to think everyone is fascinated." Moreover, I looked her up and down, smirking, "I can't endure hard times." Laughter erupted in the room. Ru Feng couldn't hold back her tears and cried as she tried to run away. Sui Yu quickly grabbed her and glared at me. "Say less, don't cause trouble in my house, she's pregnant." She is the niece of General Sui and has always been at odds with me, constantly competing for the title of the most talented woman in the capital. It's not necessarily to defend Ru Feng but to seize every opportunity to provoke me. I felt a warmth in my eyes, and my tone softened a bit. "All right, for your sake, I won't argue with her." Sui Yu looked at me as if she'd seen a ghost. "Lin Susu, did you take the wrong medicine?" In my past life, the Sui family, like our Lin family, was embroiled in a rebellion case. The difference was that the Sui family was not innocent. Sui Yu's uncle, General Sui, truly colluded with Lord Shin. And when Lord Shin attacked the capital, he opened the gates for him. Later, when Lord Shin was defeated, General Sui was shot dead by arrows. And the entire Sui family was executed. But because Sui Yu resembled Ru Feng somewhat, Li Siyuan saved her and brought her into the household. She appeared to be at odds with me but secretly helped me several times. When I was so sick I was near death, Li Siyuan refused to call a doctor. So she deliberately made herself ill and took the opportunity to ask the doctor for medicine. When Li Siyuan threw me into the cold pond, she risked her life to jump in and save me. After being stopped by Li Siyuan, she shouted to me, "Lin Susu, hold on, Zhao Lize has overturned your family's case. Your elder brother will soon return to the capital, don't die. If you die, who will I compete with?" But I still died, I couldn't hold on. I stood up, and Ru Feng instinctively took a step back. I ignored her and hugged Sui Yu. "I declare, from now on, you are the most talented woman in the capital. I, Lin Susu, concede." Sui Yu shivered. "Lin Susu, don't be like this, I'm scared." Ru Feng didn't stay until the end of the banquet and left early. I caught up with her, and she cautiously kept her distance from me. "What do you want?" She protected her belly. I smiled gently. "Have you noticed you resemble Sui Yu a bit? But Sui Yu is prettier, more graceful, more talented, and her family background is better than yours. However, I've heard the Sui family elders don't think much of Lee Si-yuan. The color drained from her face. You're trying to sow discord. You can ask Lee Si-yuan, I said. She fled in panic, tears welling in her eyes. I knew she wouldn't ask. She was just a maid sold by her parents, who betrayed her original family. Apart from Lee Si-yuan, she had no one to rely on. Whether what I said was true or not, she wouldn't dare confront Lee Si-yuan. She would only observe in secret and then realize that Lee Si-yuan indeed treats Sui differently. Women are prone to overthinking during pregnancy, and any small clue will be magnified. She will definitely be restless. A person's energy is limited, and with Lee Si-yuan needing to comfort and care for her, he won't be as attentive in other areas. I turned around, and Sui was standing behind me, frowning. What did you say to her? She looked like she'd seen a ghost. Nothing. Why are you acting so strange today? I didn't explain to her, just whispered. Your uncle seems to be associating with someone, have your father keep an eye on it. She looked at me in horror. I grabbed her hand, my expression serious. This concerns your family's lives, remember to keep it secret. I could only say so much, the rest depended on their luck. Sui was very frightened and almost immediately went to find her father. 2 months later, the two brothers of the Sui family turned against each other. It was said that General Sui schemed against Sui's marriage. Although the plan failed, the two families had a fierce argument. Not only splitting up but also vowing never to interact again. I was quite pleased. Sui's father is a sensible man. Living under the same roof as General Sui, he could certainly notice any signs if he paid attention. Cutting through the mess quickly, even if implicated in the future. He wouldn't end up like he did in the previous life. Sui invited me to meet at Drunken Immortal restaurant and gifted me an expensive set of hair ornaments. My father said this is a token of gratitude. I accepted without hesitation. Her attitude towards me had changed, she was willing to share her thoughts with me. That Lee Si-yuan, I don't know what's up with him. Every time he sees me, his gaze is odd. Once, he even called me Yaya and was scolded away by my brother. Sui's father is a lecturer at the Hanlin Academy. And the Crown Prince enjoys listening to his teachings on classics and history. Lee Si-yuan probably wants to follow his path. After all, he hasn't gained much from his godfather, Deng Changming. And he has yet to earn the Crown Prince's favor. Having already reached a high position, he is impatient to wait for several years. Suddenly, a commotion came from across the door. The voices were familiar. Sui and I opened the door to see Lee Si-yuan and Zhao Lizhe. It turned out Lee Si-yuan had somehow learned of the Crown Prince's whereabouts. And followed him to Drunken Immortal restaurant. The guards at the door refused to announce him, leading to a conflict. The Crown Prince heard the commotion inside and sent Zhao Lizhe out to handle it. Zhao Lizhe already disliked Lee Si-yuan, and after exchanging a few words, he was ready to act. Suddenly seeing me come out, he immediately restrained himself. Susu, you're here for a meal too, he said, changing his demeanor from stern to smiling like a spring breeze. Their roasted squab is particularly delicious, you must try it. He still had the mood to chat about food with me. Sui casually replied, sure, we'll order it later. Today, I'm treating Susu to a meal. Tell us what's good. Zhao Lizhe actually listed a few dishes. Lee Si-yuan, having drunk, was furious and bold. I said I want to see His Highness. Zhao Lizhe sneered, you think His Highness meets just anyone? Hurry up and leave, don't get in the way of my conversation with Susu. Lee Si-yuan's anger turned towards me. Lin Susu, did you say something to His Highness? There's no way he wouldn't see me after reading my essay. You must have slandered me in front of him out of spite. Sui looked at him incredulously. What are you talking about? What does this have to do with Susu? Lee Si-yuan's demeanor softened towards her. You. Miss Sui, stay away from Lin Susu. She's malicious, talentless, and jealous. You're better than her in every way, one day she will harm you. Sui was so angry her face turned red. Are you crazy? I wasn't angry at all. Lee Si-yuan's loss of composure showed he was mentally breaking down. But that wasn't enough. I asked, what essay? Is it the one His Highness had thrown away? Zhao Lizhe said, probably, not sure. But if Susu says it's thrown away, then it is. Even if it wasn't, I'll make sure His Highness throws it away. I exchanged a tender smile with him. Li Siyuan, losing his mind, shouted, Lin Susu, don't refuse a toast only to drink a penalty. Didn't I warn you not to play tricks? You completely disregard me. He was confusing past and present lives, thinking he was still a high-ranking official while I was ruined, at his mercy. He tried to hit me. In reality, he couldn't touch me. As soon as he moved, Zhao Lizhe swiftly kicked him, but I still screamed and fell down the stairs. Being next to the staircase, I rolled down without major injuries. But my forehead was cut, bleeding profusely, looking quite shocking. Zhao Lizhe was clever, immediately taking the initiative. Li Siyuan, how dare you attempt to harm the daughter of the Prime Minister in public? His voice was loud enough for half the restaurant to hear. Li Siyuan didn't have time to defend himself before Zhao Lizhe grabbed him like a chicken and threw him off the second floor. I rested at home for over half a month. My father tearfully accused Li Siyuan of his misdeeds in front of the emperor. Followed closely by Marquis Zhao's household, and Sui Yu's father also added fuel to the fire. Several censors joined in the impeachment. Finally, the crown prince said, this person's conduct is vile, unworthy of being a disciple of your majesty. Thus, the emperor stripped Li Siyuan of his title as top scholar and the hard-earned official position. Li Siyuan became the first top scholar in the history of the dynasty to be stripped of his title, leaving his name in history, albeit not in the way he intended. I never expected Li Siyuan would still want to see me. I brought a maid skilled in martial arts and instructed her. If Li Siyuan harms me, kill him immediately. But Li Siyuan didn't have the courage for that. He had been thrown from the second floor of a tavern by Zhao Lizhe, injuring his leg, and because it wasn't treated in time, he ended up limping. He hobbled over to me, still wearing that faded sky-blue robe with patched cuffs. Susu, he looked haggard, unshaven, and thinner, no longer the spirited scholar he once was. I was blind and deceived. Rufeng has been lying to me all along. She only knows a few words, can't write poetry or paint, and can't play the zither. The one I've always loved is you. Rufeng's lies fooled him for a while, but not forever. Living together every day, her flaws eventually showed. I know you have feelings for me. You used Yeye to sow discord between me and my wife, proving you still care about me. Susu. He called out to me with deep emotion. You've already ruined my career, so you should be appeased. I promise you, I will marry you. I willingly want to marry you. We'll live a good life together, and I'll make you a noble lady, the envy of everyone in the capital. Ah, men and their confidence sometimes make me envious. I looked at him speechlessly. And what about Rufeng? Seeing my response, he was overjoyed and immediately said, she deceived me into marriage first. Not divorcing her is already a kindness. Considering she's pregnant, I'll keep her as a concubine. After all, she used to serve you, so she can continue to serve you. I couldn't help but laugh. Li Siyuan, in our past life, you endured 10 years to avenge Rufeng. I thought your feelings for her were as deep as the sea and as high as the mountains. But it turns out they're just this shallow. For wealth and status, you want to demote your wife to a concubine. How ridiculous. Do you think I'm some cheap person? You're a nobody, dirt poor. Why would I choose you over the son of Marquis Zhao? His face changed dramatically, alternating between blue and white. I continued to provoke him. Didn't you say your high position wasn't because of our family? Now you see, you're just a freeloader. Without our family, you're nothing. This is your life now. With our family around, you'll never get close to the crown prince. You'll never have a day of glory. Li Siyuan didn't show up for a long time after that. Until Lord Shen came to the capital. Lord Shen is the current emperor's youngest brother, only 4 years older than the crown prince. Compared to the crown prince's diligence and studiousness, he's like a negative example, neither scholarly nor martial, spending his days indulging in pleasure. And has caused several scandals. But it's all just a facade. In our past life, no one saw through his ambitious nature until he raised an army in rebellion. Lord Shen's fief is in a city, and he's not allowed in the capital without a summons. except during the new year when he visits his mother, Dowager Consort Sui, for 2 to 3 months according to ancestral customs. He and Dowager Consort Sui were deeply bonded. And in our past life, he only rebelled after she passed away. The people I sent to watch Lee Si-yuan reported that he secretly pledged allegiance to Lord Shin. I breathed a sigh of relief. Lee Si-yuan didn't disappoint me. Having tasted power, how could he be content living as a commoner? Unable to gain the crown prince's favor, he sought Lord Shin's. No one knows better than him that Lord Shin will rebel in 10 years and nearly breach the royal city. It was he who risked his life to infiltrate the enemy camp, sowing distrust between Lord Shin and his strategist, causing their alliance to crumble and the army's morale to collapse, giving the crown prince a chance to defeat them in one fell swoop. He was a hero who reversed the rebellion, a great hero to the people. Because of this, no one doubted his testimony against my father later on. He even knelt outside the Hall of Diligence, pleading for my father, his head bleeding. Our Lin family wasn't executed in full, thanks to him refusing rewards. What a loyal and righteous man. Who would have thought he was two-faced? I never mentioned to the crown prince about Lord Shin's potential rebellion. Without evidence, making baseless accusations against the royal family would only make the crown prince dislike me. Moreover, although Lord Shin is unreliable, he has always been good to the crown prince and even saved his life once. The crown prince cherishes this little royal uncle and would never allow anyone to slander him casually. Lee Si-yuan is aware of this too. He isn't afraid of me tattling, and he might even wish for it. The events that will occur 10 years later have no trace now. He is confident that without his interference in this lifetime, Lord Shin will successfully rebel and ascend to the throne. And with his contributions to the cause, he will surely rise to a position of immense power. Although I didn't tell the crown prince, I did tell my father. I said I had a nightmare, but my father dismissed it as my wild imagination and didn't take it seriously. However, when I predicted events that would happen in the following days, he became cautious. After Lord Shin entered the capital, as in previous years, he mingled with many court officials under the guise of indulging in pleasures. My father loves ancient paintings, so Lord Shin gifts him one every year. This year, he sent the landscape painting. In my past life, this painting became the ironclad evidence of my father's secret dealings with Lord Shin. Hidden within the scroll's rod was a letter from Lord Shin bribing my father. Originally, it wasn't there. Lee Si-yuan seized it from Lord Shin amidst chaos and secretly hid it inside. The painting was real, the letter was real, but the matter was false. My father couldn't defend himself. In this lifetime, with my warning, my father resolutely rejected Lord Shin's overtures and, during the New Year's Eve banquet at the palace, sold all the ancient paintings Lord Shin had gifted him to other ministers who loved ancient art. He donated all the proceeds to the soldiers at the frontier. The emperor praised my father for his noble character and dedication to the people, setting an example for all officials, forcing other ministers to donate reluctantly. Lee Si-yuan observed all these small actions from the prime minister's residence but was indifferent. What use was distancing from Lord Shin? When Lord Shin ascends the throne and becomes all-powerful, dealing with a prime minister's residence would be trivial. In the first month of the year, Rufeng's child was born, a son, who was immediately handed over to Deng Changming by Lee Si-yuan. Now, on the surface, his entire family relies on Deng Changming. Without an official position or salary, he can only work as a laborer in Deng Changming's shop. Rufeng had to wash clothes for others to earn a living just after her confinement. Her fingers red and swollen from the cold. Compared to when she was a maid by my side, her situation was worlds apart. I encountered her on the street. She was dressed thinly, wore no jewelry, had lost weight, her complexion was sallow and haggard. And her eyes were dull and numb, nothing like a woman who had just given birth. I invited her to dine at Drunken Immortal restaurant. And she ate until she almost vomited, finally collapsing on the table, sobbing. "Miss, I regret it. I shouldn't have impersonated you to seduce him." From the next room came faint voices of conversation. Of course, the soundproofing wasn't originally this poor. I had tampered with it. Her sobbing abruptly stopped. She recognized Lee Si-yuan's voice. How could Lee Si-yuan, now penniless, afford to dine at such an expensive restaurant? "Buddy Lee, you are truly prescient. In such a short time, you've become the Lord's confidant. This time, when returning to the fief, Lord Shen specifically instructed that your family accompany him. In the future, when you rise to prominence, don't forget about me. Li Siyuan's triumphant laughter was deafening. Certainly, no problem. He paused. The journey to a city is long, and my mother is too old to travel. My wife must stay to care for her, so they won't be going. The other person then let out a lewd laugh. In that case, you will need someone to take care of you. What kind of companion do you prefer? I'll have someone in a city prepare in advance. Li Siyuan thought for a moment. Do you know the eldest miss of the Sui family? So you like that kind. The Prime Minister's daughter is also barely acceptable. I understand. Then came the sound of clinking cups. Rufeng's expression shifted from surprise to joy, then to disappointment and anger, finally turning into despair. Her already lifeless eyes became even more desolate. Miss, what should I do? What can I do? She murmured to me. March 12th, Lord Shen set out to return to a city. Half a month later, Lord Shen's biological mother, Dowager Consort Sui in the palace, was poisoned to death. The investigation eventually pointed to a maidservant by Dowager Consort Sui's side. Under extreme interrogation, the maid confessed that she was instructed by Mr. Zhou, who was close to Lord Shen. This Mr. Zhou appeared to be a guest under Lord Shen's patronage. But in reality, he was a strategist, highly valued by Lord Shen. Dowager Consort Sui had always been in poor health, bedridden for many years, yet she never passed away. Mr. Zhou had waited for many years and finally could wait no longer. In the previous life, he had used a slow-acting poison, which took 2 full years to gradually take Dowager Consort Sui's life. Once Dowager Consort Sui died, Lord Shen had no more scruples and raised an army in rebellion. However, Li Siyuan discovered the truth and delivered a fatal blow to Lord Shen at the critical moment, causing Lord Shen and Mr. Zhou to become bitter enemies. In the previous life, Mr. Zhou acted 7 or 8 years later, but Li Siyuan could not wait that long. He acted in advance, also using a slow-acting poison, which would take effect in about a year. But I had it replaced with a potent poison. Why would Lord Shen's guest conspire to harm his master's biological mother? The Crown Prince continued the investigation and traced it back to Li Siyuan, only to find that he had followed Lord Shen to a city. His wife voluntarily confessed that before Li Siyuan left, he handed her a ledger, instructing her to keep it safe, and said that they would soon rise to prominence. The ledger recorded the exchanges of favors between Lord Shen and officials in the court in various regions, with amounts so large it was shocking. What more did the Crown Prince need to understand? He first controlled General Sui, then sent people on fast horses, traveling day and night, to reach a city ahead of Lord Shen and confiscate Lord Shen's residence. Not only did they find a privately made dragon robe, but they also discovered he was secretly training troops and stockpiling weapons. Solid evidence of rebellion. Lord Shen and his party were captured and brought back to the capital halfway. Li Siyuan's dream of being second only to one person had just begun to sprout when I crushed it. He was too confident. I had no evidence, but I could frame him. The night before Li Siyuan's execution, I went to see him in prison. He leaned against the wall in confusion, banging his head repeatedly, muttering to himself. No, no, where did it go wrong? It shouldn't be like this, it shouldn't be. He didn't react much when he saw me, just let out a self-deprecating laugh. Are you here to see my joke? I'm here to let you die with clarity. He suddenly reacted, staring at me in disbelief. It's you. He shook his head. Impossible, you couldn't know about that ledger. That ledger wouldn't appear until 10 years later. In the past life, there indeed was such a ledger. After Lord Shen was brought to justice, Li Siyuan secretly kept the ledger and didn't submit it. He intended to use it to control the officials who were privately associated with Lord Shen, manipulating them for his own use. As for the cause of Dowager Consort Sui's death, he never mentioned it to me. It was Yeye who told me. I quietly watched him. You took Yeye as a substitute, told her everything, but she told me everything. The ledger was fabricated by me. On the day I returned, I transcribed the contents of that ledger from memory, not word for word, but mostly accurate. Li Siyuan laughed loudly. So that's how it is, so that's how it is. I lost to the woman I love. He laughed until tears came out. I laughed too. Don't insult Yeye. What right do you have to love her? And Rufong, you surely didn't know, my plan went so smoothly thanks to her cooperation with me. Rufong? He raged, that wench, how did I wrong her for her to betray me like this? She married a top scholar, what more could she want? Wench, bring her to see me, bring her to see me. She probably can't come, I said. She was spared from execution by the crown prince for her revelations. And now she's married to a wealthy merchant from another region, long gone. It's just a pity for your old mother, didn't even need a full family execution, directly angered to death by you. He was stunned, then erupted. You wicked woman, my mother never wronged you, why did you cause her death? I'll kill you. What are you talking about? I said. The one who caused your mother's death was you wanted to rebel, what does it have to do with me? He slid to the ground powerlessly, his eyes hollow, only 2 streams of murky tears. I turned and took a couple of steps, then looked back. Oh, I forgot to tell you, your godfather Deng Changming is also my man. Half a year after Li Siyuan's death, Zhao Lizhe and I got married. Sui Yu directly gave me 10,000 taels of silver as a dowry, thanking me for saving her family. On the wedding night, Zhao Lizhe asked me, if Li Siyuan had asked to marry you, would you have agreed? I lied without blushing. Of course not, he's not as good as you in every way, why would I choose him? Besides, I know you've liked me since we were young. He blushed, oh, why have you never mentioned it? Because my love began only after we got married. I asked him, why suddenly ask this question? I had a dream. He kissed me, it was terrifying, but fortunately, it was just a dream.